Good evening. Welcome to the Rush Hill Community Church again. And this is Pastor Bob. And we are now at our last piece of evidence. Evidence number 6. As we are making a case for Christ's resurrection. Thank you all for following each and every one of them, and I appreciate it so much. And we're going to do this one, number 6, and then the next one, tomorrow or the next day, we will be doing the close. So I hope you'll follow us all the way through to the end. Now, number 6. You know, we as human beings all seem to admire somebody in our lives. Of course, our moms and dads, but also celebrities, possibly movie stars or singers or baseball teams. And all of these, we really have this desire to see them in person. You know, we can watch baseball on TV probably better than we can from the stands, but we have that desire to go see our favorite people in person. It's just one of those things that we just kind of like to do. So tonight is our last piece of evidence, and in a court case, the last piece of evidence is supposed to be the big one, the hard hitter, the smoking gun, if you will. And I believe we have it tonight. It's the sightings of Jesus. Now, Jesus, after his resurrection, he started seeing people. Numerous times in the Bible we see that on one occasion, he met some of his disciples on the road. Another time, they were out fishing. He called them in, and he was cooking fish for them, and he saw them then. We talked last time about going into the upper room, and he saw his disciples there a couple of different times. But a lot of people say, you know, these were his close friends. You know, maybe they thought they saw Jesus. And maybe it was a dream. Maybe they just got a glimpse of something in a shadow and they thought it was Jesus, and so on and so forth. But I think we can put that to rest with the Scriptures. And I'm going to read those straight from the Bible for you tonight. And our very first one. Again, the critics are saying it could be just one or two, and maybe it was just for a second or two, and so on and so forth. But I want to read to you in Acts 1, verse 3. Acts 1, verse 3. After his suffering, he showed himself to these men and gave many convincing proofs that he was alive. He appeared to them over a period of 40 days, and spoke about the kingdom of God. So it wasn't for just a second or two, it wasn't for just a brief moment, it was for 40 days. But it says he spoke to these men. Now who were they and how many were they? It could have been just a few again. But no, we read in 1 Corinthians 15, 5, 6, and it refers to that same instance. It says in verse 5, 15, chapter 1, and that he appeared to Peter, and then to the 12, and after that he appeared to more than 500 of the brothers at the same time, most of whom are still living, though some have fallen asleep. Now these are men, probably children and women that weren't counted. But 500, folks, it was not a brief encounter. It wasn't just a dream. They didn't make it up, because not 500 people can't come up with that kind of thing all at once and all the same. But it was for 40 days, 500 people. Now, a writer once wrote that if you took all the witnesses that saw Jesus after his resurrection, gave him just 6 minutes on the witness stand, you would have over 50 hours of testimony. 50 hours of testimony. So, that's pretty good piece of evidence. That's the smoking gun. 500 people saw Jesus after his death, burial, and resurrection for 40 days. So let's look at our evidence that we have seen in the last few days. Our 6 pieces of evidence, first was the guards, the heavily armed guards that were watching and guarding that tomb. Expert soldiers in evidence or in guarding. And then the big stone, over 2 tons. And it covered that tomb perfectly. That was a big, heavy stone that had to be moved to steal the body with all the guards. And then, of course, the empty tomb itself. We talked about how if the tomb wasn't empty, there wouldn't be an issue. So it definitely was empty. And then we talked about those grave clothes. That was our next piece of evidence. They were right there laying just like Jesus' shape of his body, but it was empty, like a cocoon. The body was gone, but the grave clothes were there. Oh, that was quite a piece of evidence. And then we talked about the nail scars in Jesus' hand. He showed them to his disciples. They put their finger in it. He says, "Here, touch my side." And we said that the only thing in heaven that's man-made are the nail scars in Jesus' hand. That's another amazing piece of evidence, the scars on Jesus' hand and side. And then tonight, 500 people over 40 days, and it said that he made convincing evidence that he was Jesus Christ. So, with all this evidence, there is really no other explanation other than God raised Jesus Christ from the dead. It's beyond a reasonable doubt. And we trust that. We know it now, that Jesus is alive. He is seated on the right-hand side of God himself, and the right-hand side of authority, and he is there right now. What a blessing that is. Now, the next one that we're going to show, either tomorrow or very soon, is the close. And I encourage you to please to watch this. Maybe you should call some of your friends, neighbors, loved ones, and ask them to catch up if they haven't seen it and get ready for this last one. It doesn't take very long if you watch them all in a row even. But this is the big one. It's entitled simply, Why? And we're going to talk just again for just 5 to 7 minutes about why is the resurrection so important to us. So again, thank you for following us, and we will be seeing you again here probably tomorrow. And we just thank you again, and we will see you tomorrow. Thank you.